Technology, diversity, wine, the redwoods, and everything in between. Welcome to the Northern California Bay Area, and one show takes you inside the real estate that makes it all happen. This is By the Bay.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to By the Bay. I'm your host, Dan Ancheta, and today I have the pleasure of having Eva Pavlicek here as my guest. She is a realtor at Engel Volkers, and she's on the Ehrlicher-Styles team. Did I do that all? There's so many names.
Good job.
I feel like an accomplished person right now, able to get all that done. So thanks for joining us on the podcast. As you know, yeah, absolutely. So as you know, the focus of this is really about Bay Area real estate and the experience of people who live in the real estate game all day, every day, and what they're experiencing and what their clients are experiencing. So it's kind of a timeline of things as we're going through this. It's close to the end of November. It's the week of Thanksgiving. And this podcast will be out on the day after Thanksgiving. So kind of taking a snapshot in time and looking at what is happening in real estate. So Eva, jump in. Tell me about what's going on in Sonoma County real estate today.
Right now. Well, I would say that Sonoma County real estate it's slowed down a bit, but our real estate market is still strong. So when I'm seeing the biggest differences between, say, 6 months ago and now is that instead of getting 10 to 15 offers, we're getting 2 to 3, either at list price, maybe somewhat below, where before it was over and over. So people were paying a lot more over the list price, and it was so competitive to actually get your offer accepted. So today, the market is still strong. There are still buyers. There are fewer of them, so you have a better chance of getting your offer accepted if you do find a home that you love.
I think that's really exciting, especially for buyers who may be on the sideline because they're getting beat out in those multiple bid situations, and they have hard numbers. They're like, hey, I can't go past X. And then people bid up. And I think it's a really great opportunity for someone who may have disengaged from the real estate, purchase that they're planning on over the summer. And maybe they're taking like, we'll revisit in the spring. Like, it's such a great time right now. I'm seeing deals put together that are really compelling for both ends, where the sellers are meeting the buyers and they're helping them out.
Exactly. So that is a great point. Now, I was listening to a seminar the other day, and they made a good point of saying that for the first time in a long time, the bargaining power is more equal now, that no one feels like they're being taken advantage of, the buyer or the seller. And so now with, as you can tell us about, lenders are offering so many programs to help incentivize buyers.
For sure. Yeah, there's a ton of different ways that you can help out with a monthly kind of payment shock and buy some time, as we expect that rates will come down sometime in the near future. What I really want to kind of focus on with you is you actually just finished your first year in real estate. August was your 1 year anniversary. And so I kind of wanted to chat about how was that first year for you, especially going through this huge market shift. When you joined the industry, when you started, it was just bananas.
It was totally bananas, and it was amazing because it was like a fire hose of activity and deals and learning. I'm fortunate enough to be on a team, Ehrlicher-Styles group, and so I had the honor and privilege of working for 2 very high-producing, successful realtors. So just sort of following them, shadowing them throughout it. I had...
And just the number of deals you're able to see in rapid succession.
Absolutely. Right. I probably did 10 deals of my own in the first 8 or 10 months of this year.
That's phenomenal, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you. So it was really exciting and dizzying, but I feel so prepared, much more prepared now for what is going to come. I imagine there are years where realtors, unless you're doing it, you can't learn. And every deal is different. And there's so many variables. And I will tell you, when I got into it, I thought it would be a lot easier than it actually is. It's not as easy as they show you on $1 Million
Tell me more about that. I want to know. So what did you find that was like your expectation was that this is not going to be that hard, and then it turns out it really is?
Yeah, there's so many places in the transaction where it can go sideways. And there's so many players involved. So communicating and keeping the buyers and the sellers understanding where they are in the process, timelines, all of it. It really is quite a production to get a deal done. There are easier deals, and there are some, and most of them are fairly complicated.
Yeah, I think so. And like there's a ton of details to be provided. And then it's how much information do you give that's really relevant right now, and how much do we need to share or hold back? And there's definitely a art. It's more of art than science.
It is. And I'm an over communicator, and when I first started last year, I asked everyone I knew, so what was your experience with a realtor? What did you like? What didn't you like? And overwhelmingly, I was told that the lack of communication was the biggest issue, that no one ever knew what was going on, where they were in the process. No one ever explained it to them.
It's so funny. Right before this, I was we closed a deal in Fresno today, and I was chatting with the listing agent, and I said, hey, how did we do? And we've been talking throughout the process and keeping her up to speed. And so the sellers were fully in the know. And she was like, your communication was great. And she's like, what's really sad is I have a lot of really poor communicators that are in my sphere, and most lenders and most other agents just don't communicate. Just simple, just picking up the phone when I call or returning a text message in a reasonable amount of time. That's a really low bar, right? Like we should expect more, right?
Absolutely. It's this buying a home, investing in property, getting home loans. It's daunting and scary for a lot of people. I mean, the first time I did it, I had no idea what I was doing, right? I'm sure you probably didn't either the first time you did it.
No idea.
And it's emotional. It's scary. So you want to have your hand held and be walked through the process. Setting the expectations is so important.
I totally agree. And I think that the realtors who stand out above kind of head and shoulders customer service, and people who are looked at as thought leaders, and people who are the go-to in different communities, they have strategic communication plans. They know when and how they're going to communicate news. They know how to tactfully handle bad or disappointing news, difficult news, and they do it strategically. It's not something that they just do on a whim. They think about it. They have a plan.
Right.
I think that's a huge difference. There's a line in the sand where you can tell who is really a professional, who goes after it and has a strategic idea of what they're doing, and the people who are kind of winging it. And both can be successful.
Yep.
But I think their businesses and their lives look very different in terms of like chaos level.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell us, Eva, what else you've learned in this first 14 months or so you've been doing this?
I've learned that it is great to get new clients, but it is even better to make friends. And that's sort of how I'm moving forward in my career. I'm really looking for people that I connect with in all ways, that I can help them with their transaction, but also, get referrals and go to parties and have our kids play together, and that. It's like it's so much better when you're fully engaged with your clients. It's really just a benefit to everybody, and it's so fun.
Yeah, especially when the transaction is the beginning of the relationship, is the beginning of your experience with them as you being their real estate professional. Yeah. I think there's a mistake that a lot of people, realtors make, and mortgage people make too. They're super involved for 30 days.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
30, 45 days, whatever the escrow period is. Shorter lately. And then soon as the deal closes, they're gone. And you can't get a hold of them. They don't return phone calls. It's like once that commission check gets paid, they're like, I'm done. It's like, there's so much more to being the real estate professional than just facilitating a contract.
Right. I don't want to be known for that person. I'm not a transactional professional. I really do seek for meaningful connections with my clients. And I love it. I love this job.
Where does that come from? What is that? Can you identify what it is that your experience was that leads you to be so passionate about relationship?
Well, I'm the youngest of three, so it starts there. I was always hungry for attention and I think that's sort of carried through into my adult life. I love to have fun and feel good. I'm a feeler. So, yeah, it's very important to me that the people that I work with feel good about the transaction and the interaction and everything that we're doing together.
The overall experience. Right. And we tie it back to like buying behavior. People want data. They want to know, what the numbers tell them, right? That they're making a sound financial decision. Right. But they buy and they choose to use a specific realtor or lender right. or anyone else really because of how they make them feel.
Right. And I'm not for everyone. I'm a vibe. Some people are not into it, but I know that I am 100% for some people. And so I find that I sort of attract the artsy, feely type of people that really do value the connection. Sure. So I've just found that I've sort of naturally attracted those types of people, and that's perfect for me.
I think it's hugely important that we identify, like, I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. But there's plenty of people out there that are for me, and I want to be with those people, be in relationship, and be in, be working with those people because they get me and I get them. Yeah. The communication is smoother. They understand your language. They, are accommodating to you and you to them.
Absolutely.
And, it's one of those things where it's been, there's I mention him often on the podcast. Todd Duncan is one of the thought leaders in the mortgage space. And, he says that when two people really want to do business together and they believe in the same things, the details won't get in the way. Mm-hmm. And when people don't want to do business, the details prohibit them from actually being in relationship. Little nitpicky stuff gets in the way of them actually engaging into that like fully integrated relationship with each other.
Definitely.
And that goes for lenders and realtors. It goes for clients. And I'm sure you can think of, people that you've worked with that you're like, wow, that was not a model match. And right. Boy, that was not an experience I want to go through again. Still help you. That's all good. Love you as people. But man, this is just not a business model match.
Right. We're also, as a team, really community-oriented
Sure.
and community-minded. So I love working with people who I help them, they can help me, I can refer them and their businesses to my network of people. And so that's another great thing I've learned. The benefit of being a realtor and being connected to different players and tradespeople and professionals is sharing that information and helping elevate everyone around me during the course of the business transaction. So it's great. I love this job.
No, good. I can tell. And it's your passion comes through and it's exciting. And, the deals that we've worked on together have been awesome. And I just really appreciate your approach to the relationship and how you're handling clients. And that's really, really, really cool. And honestly, I didn't know that you had only been in the business for a year when we started, working together. You carry yourself with much more years of experience. So,
thank you. I have worked in sales and marketing for a very long time.
Yeah, tell us about that. What did you do? What did you do before this?
Immediately before this, I took some time off and raised my 2 children.
The hardest job in the world, by the way.
Absolutely, the hardest job in the world. And going back to work was like, deep breath. Okay. So that was hard. And before that, I was in digital marketing, sales, account management. I've always worked with people. Prior to that, my longest stint was in radio, actually.
Really?
Not.
So the headphones and the microphone are not new to you?
Well, no, I wasn't on the air. That wasn't really my strength. But I was a sales and marketing person. So I worked with people, small businesses, local businesses, on helping grow their share of the business in the market. So,
very cool.
So I've been interacting with people similarly for a long time.
You're in the people business at the end of the day. I am
in the people business.
Right?
That's right. Yeah.
That's cool. You just happen to sell real estate.
Yeah, and honestly, I wish I had started the real estate part a long, long time ago, because I feel like it's such a good fit. Mm-hmm. It allows me to be a mom and, have more of a work-life balance, and I love it.
For sure. How old are the kids?
4 and 7.
Great ages.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're like, you got 7, I've got 5.5, you've got 4, I've got 3, and I've got a 1-year-old.
I can't believe that you have a baby. That's just, I can't.
It blows me away. Yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy to me. Wild times.
Yes.
Wild times at the Ancheta household.
And COVID.
Yes.
Wait,
exactly.
so did you say you had a COVID baby?
Yeah,
Is that right? Oh my gosh.
Our middle one was born right before in September of 2019. So right when things were kicking off. And then, our youngest was born.
Well, at least you had an excuse to be home and
the funny thing
help
is
raise them.
that maybe not funny is that, rates were like super low. So we were crazy busy. So my wife, Megan, had hunkered down with the 2 kids, and I was coming to the office, and no one else was coming here because it was shut down. It was totally closed.
Wow.
So I was here by myself with the dog, and we just sat here, and I just did loans all day by myself. And then I'd go home, and Meg had a whole routine with the kids. And, it was those are the days that like you were afraid to go outside, like couldn't go on a walk, right? Like remember that was crazy. So wild times.
Yeah, for sure.
In hindsight, I think, 15 years from now, we'll look back and go, what a weird experience.
The time continuum is total. Like, I don't know. I can't even wrap my brain around the fact that was how many years ago now?
Yeah, exactly. It's all a blur.
It is totally blur.
Okay, so heading back to the real estate topic.
Yes.
So you told us about the market trends, what you're seeing. You told us about your experience. What do you think happens next? What do you think happens in the next 6 months to a year?
Well, I think that a lot of the people who have been really scared off by these rates will come back around because they're going to realize that in this market, housing values are not going to fall drastically. I don't see that ever happening in Sonoma County. We are a huge destination location. People want to live here. People want to work remotely from here. Sorry, I lost my necklace.
It's our first wardrobe malfunction on By the Bay.
I think so. We're going to see people, right now we've been kind of going through a little standoff between buyers and sellers. What's going to happen? Rates are going to go up, so prices are going to go down, 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 down. But I don't see that happening. I see them kind of leveling out.
Yeah.
So people are going to get back in the market. We're going to see a lot busier in the spring. Rates are supposedly going to go down somewhat. They're saying 4.5 to 5% is the, we don't have a crystal ball, but that's.
The Mortgage Bankers Association is projecting rates in the mid 5s in 2023.
Okay.
And other prediction models have different numbers, but that's a decent range to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Of course, no one knows, and we might be at 9% next year.
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
I think with education and with time, people will realize that there are lending options that fit their specific needs.
Sure.
And that they don't want to miss the boat on getting into a home, especially for a first-time home buyer. I think we're going to have a strong spring. I really do.
Good. No, that's encouraging. And I think, for the folks that are listening, if you are a person who's thinking about buying your first home or upgrading, it's a great time.
It is
It's a great time just to consider some options and get another opinion about different type of buy down options. Sellers are willing to pay buy downs. I think on the last 5 loans we've done, we've had some type of buy down, either a permanent rate buy down or a temporary buy down. And I think it's a wonderful time for people, especially if they kept getting beat out.
Absolutely. You will actually have a chance of being accepted. You're not competing with 10 all cash offers. And I also want everyone to realize that we still have a huge housing shortage in this market.
Correct. Yeah.
We did before the fires. We did before COVID. And we still do. So I would not delay trying to get into a house. If that's what you want and you have the means, we say, what do we say? We say date the rate, but marry the house. If you find the house and it's the house you want to live in, buy the house.
I like that advice. I think that, if you buy a house today and you do a temporary buy down, one of 3 things is going to happen. Rates are going to go down and you're going to refinance for a long, long period of time.
Correct.
Rates are going to stay the same and you're going to wind up with, the fully indexed payment in 2 or 3 years or whatever your deal is. Or rates are going to go up. And if rates are going to go up and you happen to lock in at 7% and they're now 10, you'll be happy with 7.
Yep.
If rates go down and you can, refinance in the 5s, you'll be happy then. And if rates are still 7% after that time period, then you're kind of a neutral ground.
Yep.
The reality is that people need a place to live.
People need a place to live. And everyone's everyone's situation is unique and different. I think it's really important that everyone speak to their professionals, to their CPAs, to their lenders, to their realtor. Explain what you're going through because there are different solutions for different situations, and that's really, really important for people to know.
Awesome. All right, so I always ask everyone, kind of last question of the interview, is what advice would you like everyone who's listening to know? Something about like financial advice that everyone should abide by that will help them be better in their financial life.
The one critical thing is do not spend money that you do not have on a credit card unless it's an emergency, and of course to buy a home and transportation and such. But carrying balances on a credit card is just crushing people, and people just can't get ahead of it. So
it's totally true. Consumer debt is growing at a record pace right now. Consumer household debt is growing at a record pace. That's subtracting out mortgage and other things. But I think budget is huge. Like what you're getting to is like understanding the ins and outs of your budget.
Yeah. And a part of the problem is that no one ever taught us in high school. It really should be part of the curriculum.
I agree with you. I think it's really great to learn the periodic table of elements, and you should totally do that. But in addition to that, how about we teach people how to balance a checkbook?
Absolutely.
And manage their finances and understand how taxes work.
Yep.
Anyhow, I love that advice. I think everyone should do that. Anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
No, I just thank you so much. This is my first podcast ever.
You did great.
And you are such a good coach, so thank you for making it easier on me.
Well, right on. Well, thank you for joining us on By the Bay. We'll have you back sometime down the road. We'll kind of do a check-in. It'll be kind of fun to see how things have evolved maybe 6 months from now and get a check-in with you.
Sounds good.
Thanks
I would love that.
There.
Thank you.
Great to see you, Eva.
Stay up to date with Bay Area real estate. Hit subscribe now if you haven't already. Did you enjoy this episode? We love reviews in the Apple Podcasts app. We'll read yours on the show. This is By the Bay.